All right, everybody, can I have your attention, please? We're getting ready to begin here. First things first, I would like to welcome everybody and welcome our board candidates. I would please ask that if you are here, please sign in, whether you're a student, staff, or a community member. And if you're a student and you're here for extra credit, lucky you. Please sign in and say who your teacher is and what class you're attending for this. No cards are available. I don't know where they are at the moment. No cards are here. If you have a question you would like to ask, I would please ask that you come now and write that down on a note card and they will be passed along. Our incumbent, Mike O'Connell, has asked that we distribute some flyers that he has made for us. He was unfortunately unable to attend. So we'll pass these out now. With that, I guess we'll head over to our introduction of our board members. They don't need to know who I am. They're more important. These people are more important. These are what everybody came for, not me. Well, my name is Malcolm, and I'm the president of student government. And this is Alonzo. Come up here and introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Alonzo Rodriguez. I'm the student trustee for student government. Thank you all for coming.
All right, with that, I would like our board members to introduce themselves. So starting with you, what your name, and why you want to be a part of the Board of Trustees at JJC.
Let's see. Okay. Good afternoon. My name is Nancy Garcia, and I am a resident of Romanville. I have lived in Romanville for the last 16 years, and I am located about 6 minutes away from the beautiful campus that we have at Romanville. So a little bit about myself is I graduated JJC back in 2013, so I'm a proud JJC alum. So I know firsthand the experience of navigating community college and understanding the process of actually applying and going through the whole process. I came to the United States when I was 9 years old from Michoacan, Mexico. So as a first-generation college student, I did not have all the resources or all the information about how to navigate the process. So coming to JJC, I was able to have the support and actually the information that I needed in order to transition from a high school student and eventually start my career at JJC. During my time here at JJC, I learned a lot about different programs, as well as participated in Latinos Unidos and a peer mentor program where I was able to use a lot of skills that I'm currently utilizing in my current role. And again, I know a lot of the struggles, and I definitely want to be able to help as much as possible and be making sure that JJC continues to be an affordable institution and making sure that we are providing the resources available for community college students to be able to navigate through the process if they want to continue into a four-year university or go directly into the workforce. So thank you again for coming out, and I look forward to answering more questions. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Jim Budzinski. I'm a resident of Mokina, and I've been in the District 525 boundaries for the last 35 years as both a father and a taxpayer. I do have 4 adult children, the youngest of which is in college right now. They have all chosen private schools, so I understand pretty good what the impact of the cost of education is to a family. I don't think any of the first 3 that have graduated from college ever considered JJC until they got out of school and saw what the student loans were and the debt the family incurred. Then they thought, well, I should have gone to JJC for 2 years. So aside from the cost of the education, we got to make sure JJC offers programs that put the kids in a great place to succeed in life. JJC advertises itself as the best first choice, and I think it is. We want to keep it as a first choice. 6 years ago, I started working with STEM programs and going around to some of the different schools in the area, and actually in the Kankakee County as well. I visited quite a few high schools, and the biggest thing is the kids don't know what their next move should be. I teach coding classes, introduction to game development, and what I found is at 6th grade, these kids can program and learn to code and program, and I want to make sure these types of opportunities stay available for them and that they can start planning, their best decision for college while they're still in grade school and especially in high school. One of the things that I see, I work for Xerox. I will hit 40 years at Xerox next month. We do not find enough people graduating colleges with STEM program backgrounds that can come in and start working for us right away. So I have a heavy emphasis on STEM. I've actually taught coding classes for girls only so that they can get into the classroom without being intimidated by the boys or the guys. And so that is my background of what I believe JJC can do for us and what this school should do for them.
Hello, everyone. My name is Isaiah Williams, but I go by Ike. I like Ike. A little bit about my background. I'm a local boy from Joliet, born and raised. Went to St. Patrick's Grade School, on to Joliet Catholic, and on to Joliet Central. I'm going to not tell you how far ago back that was. But I am a business owner. I am a paralegal, which I have my own business, and I'm also an investment property owner. And so one of the things that I am standing on with my platform is to keep our property taxes lower, and more importantly, keeping college affordable. Okay, Joliet Junior College is a great institution that's been around a very long time, and I've watched this campus grow it's amazing. But at the same time, it shouldn't be a burden to you and your families, because it's usually a stepping stone to go on to a higher education, even more so, or into the work world. Going into the trades, going into those. Some people just need to go in and get a certification where they can become employable. And I think that that's what I would like to be a part of and helping. A little bit about my background. I have over 17 years of training with Job Corps. Job Corps, as you know, is a government-funded job program for youth 16 to 24. I've been in both Joliet Job Corps and in San Jose, California. That institution where I was there, we were ranked number one in the country out of 144 Job Corps centers. I was one of the senior staff members there, and we made sure that students left there with an education and with work. So that's what I would like to see here, and would love to have your support and vote. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Dan McDonald. Tell you a little bit about myself. I grew up in a small town. I went to a community college called Sauk Valley Community College, graduated from there, and then transferred to Illinois State University, where I earned a bachelor's degree there, and then later on a master's degree, and then DePaul University for my doctorate. I tell you that because I was in your shoes at that time. Many of you face the rising cost of college. You face how can I go to college even if I can't afford it without racking up huge debt like the growing debt that our nation is in college debt. My father had a serious illness of diabetes when I was about in middle school, and because of that illness, he eventually passed away when I was a freshman in college. Money around the home was not a luxury, and I know many of you face that also. So I knew if I was going to go to college, that a community college was the only way that it was going to be possible. So I attended Sauk Valley Community College. Now, to present day, I'm currently the director of curriculum at Plainfield School District for the high schools, so I oversee the 4 high schools in Plainfield. And I work intimately with JJC to build dual credit classes, which are basically college level classes that are taught at the high school level. In doing so, I've worked for the past 7 years at Plainfield doing that, and 7 years before that at Manuka High School as the assistant principal there. So I bring a voice from the high school to the board that I think is lacking, and hopefully on behalf of the students and their families and the community, I'll be a proactive voice on the board. I'm number 2 on the ballot, and I would appreciate your vote. Thank you.
All right, I want to thank you all and welcome you all as well. Well, I guess we can get right into the questions. So to kind of go over, Tommy here will be timing you. You will each get 2 minutes to answer each question. You will be cut off once that timer is at time. So, you want to take it over?
All right, so I'll be starting off with some of the questions that student government came up with while the note cards are being collected. So we'll start off with James. Why do you want to serve on the JJC Board of Trustees?
I've watched the board meetings for the last 2 years online and have been following along with a lot of the issues they have. One of the things I'm a little different than a lot of candidates is I'm not here because I see something wrong. I'm here because I see something that's working well, and I want to keep it working well. I know they haven't raised tuition in 2019. They're not raising it in 2020. The board is faced with making a lot of real tough decisions, but they do that keeping the students and the cost of this university in mind. And I want to continue that. I want to be a part of that. I have some background in dealing with some pretty tough budgets at Xerox. I know that there's a lot of tough decisions that get made, and it's a thought and the considerations that go in behind the scenes and make those decisions that I want to be a part of.
Isaiah, can you answer the same question?
One of the reasons why I am running is just it's the same reasons in terms of I want to. It is a good institution and things are going well, but we want to keep it on that track. And I want to make sure that we are being fiscally responsible, that we are not putting a burden on students to be in debt after getting training, and even more so than that, it is scheduled for tuition fees to go up after after really looking into the budget, but it's a trickle situation to where by 2020 every per credit hours will increase. So with that being said, I want to make sure that we are being responsible in regards to really working with more with less. True believer in that.
Thank you. Dan?
The reason I want to be on the board is to truly bring a high school voice to this board. I think the board currently is full of very positive, productive citizens of our communities, but I think one thing that is lacking is a high school perspective. The community college is an organization, is a business. No matter if we want to understand it or not or believe that or not. It's a school, but it's also a business. And our clientele are the high schools around us. And I don't feel from the past experience in this last year that there's truly a voice representing the high schools that all of you came from that matriculate here to JJC. I don't feel there's a proactive voice representing the students and their families on the board. So with my experience working in high schools for the last 25 years and the last 14 in specifically with JJC, I feel I bring an insight to some of the issues that are causing some hurdles and some barriers to kids graduating from Joliet Junior College. It's a tremendous institution, but to be honest, there's a 14% graduation rate from JJC. 14%. That's the lowest community college graduation rate in the surrounding schools, all community colleges. So, in doing that, we need to build bridges between the high schools and the colleges of how we can get our kids at high school better prepared to come here and be successful once they reach the community college. So that's what I will bring to the board, that communication, that bridge.
Thank you. And last but not least, Nancy.
Thank you. So this is my first time running, and I definitely have been involved in my community for the past 11 years in a range of different activities, from volunteering at the local food pantry to actually working in the nonprofit sector. Immediately after college, I actually began to work with immigrant rights, and in the immigrant rights world, and I fell in love with a lot of nonpartisan voter registration, as well as citizenship workshops that my organization hosts. During this time, I learned the importance of actually being out in the community and listening. So I have been involved with different organizations over the last few years, including Big Brothers and Big Sisters, and I have been able to learn a lot, again, about listening and being able to connect with the community. I want to be part of this board because I know that I can make a difference, and I'm willing to listen, and I'm willing to hear the different information and the different concerns from the community members, as well as the students, administration, and faculty, in order to address the issue of enrollment, retention, and making sure that we are providing that participation with the current high schools in order to be able to address the concerns of high school students, to be able to transition them into community college when they're ready to start. Thank you.
All right, moving on to the next question. What is the largest budget you have ever administered? Ike, can you start us off?
Sure can. The largest budget that I was a part of was Job Corps. And that budget was somewhere in the realm of $200 million. We contract, Career Systems Development is the company that ran contracts with the Department of Labor to run Job Corps centers. And with that being said, we house, we take care of all the health care while you're at Job Corps. You're actually getting paid to attend Job Corps. And at the same time, I'm sorry. Oh yes, I'm sorry. Okay, and at the same time, you're getting an education too. So it was the whole gambit of what we were responsible for with that budget.
All right, Dan?
Currently, the budget that I and two other individuals oversee is the curriculum and instruction budget at Plainfield School District. As many of you know, Plainfield has 4 high schools, totaling about 9,000 high school students. In total in the district, about 27,500 total students. Our budget to buy books and resources and train teachers with ongoing professional development consists of about $3 million, and that's the taxpayer money. I will tell you that I do my best, and the other directors too at the elementary and middle school, to spend that money extremely wisely over the long period of time. Such as I'll give you a good example. In buying textbooks, that's one of my jobs that I do. In buying textbooks, you can buy a physical textbook, let's say, for $100. You can buy a physical textbook and an e-textbook for about $105. Okay? So which would you rather have? Textbook or a textbook and an e-book? Well, most people would say a textbook and an e-book. However, if you look into the fine print of publishing companies, the way they have it set up is that after 6 years, your licensing for that e-book runs out. And that company can then continue to support that and pay for that, Or at the end of that 6 years, that license for the individual student costs $25, roughly $20 to $25. So over the course of a textbook, maybe 10 years of a textbook, that $100 textbook with the ebook just cost you $200, because in year 7, $25 more dollars, in year 8, $25 more dollars, in year 9, $25 more dollars, in year 10, $25 more dollars. So now the cost of that textbook over its lifetime just cost you $200. That's just an example of the things that you have to be aware of when you're working with budgets.
I'm sorry about that time. Thank you. All right, Nancy?
Yes. So I do not have any direct experience with administrating a budget, but in the nonprofit sector, we do work with making sure that we are able to utilize the budget that we do have in order to make sure that we're able to target the necessary items and being able to stretch the amount of money that we have by using our resources wisely. So some of the important skills that I'm able to bring to the table is making sure that we are transparent about the budget, as well as making sure that we are able to look at the different funds that we have accessible and being able to allocate those funds to the necessary areas to make sure that we are targeting different areas like enrollment and retention to be able to meet the goals that we are trying to reach.
Thank you. James?
Working for Xerox, it's a profit-based company. So when we got our budget, I work with the service departments, and it's all post-sales. Once the equipment's in place and we provide service and supplies and manpower if it's a staff facility, we look at the revenue that's generated by the companies and the customers that we have, and then we have to align our services so that we can still, return a profit to the company. Obviously, if there's an investment in it, we have to show some type of return for it. So as far as administering a budget, we are taking the money and matching it to what the customers are expecting as service by us. Budget-wise is based on, account populations. I work on production equipment, which is very large equipment. There's usually 2 or 3 dedicated service reps that go in there. So we have salaries to base for each customer. We base salaries on that along with the revenue and the print volume they run. So we don't necessarily match 0 for 0 and come out with a balanced budget. We have to, show corporate a profit in what we do.
All right. What is your vision for Joliet Junior College? Dan, can you start us off?
My vision for Joliet Junior College would be to strengthen the pipeline between high schools and this community college. And that's all high schools. That's just not Plainfield School District. That's all the schools that matriculate into JJC, from Reed Custer and Wilmington to Lincoln Ways to Morris High School. And the way we do that, I think, is one of the ways that we've really started, and what I've worked on for the past 14 years, is at Manuka, when I first went there, we had approximately, I think, 9 dual credit classes. When I left there seven years later, we had approximately 34. At Plainfield, now, in the last 7 years, when I first went there, we had approximately 6 English 101 and 102 as dual credit classes. Next year, Plainfield schools will offer 41 dual credit classes. Now, you might say that, that's all and good, but what I would like to see is the high schools and the community college work closer, hand in hand, so we build a pipeline of the high schools sending more qualified students, better educated students, because we've been in communication with the community college. We know what's needed for them and the skills they need to be successful at the community college. But also, just like what we've recently done, is we've started with the math department here at Joliet Junior College, which I think is a very progressive department. We started offering 098 level classes for kids that have gone through the English or gone through algebra, geometry, and algebra 2, but still aren't successful enough to be ready for college algebra or a 3-credit class. So we're starting to offer, this year we started to offer, and many schools around us offered that 098 class in kids' senior year. So when they leave us leave us at the high school level, they're guaranteed placement into college-bearing classes as opposed to being kind of caught in that spinning wheel of death of remedial classes that end up costing a lot of money to students. Thank you.
Nancy, can you answer next?
Yes, of course. I definitely agree with Dan. There we go. I definitely agree with Dan. We definitely need to be able to continue to work in order to make sure that we are able to reach the enrollment by focusing on the high schools and partnering with them in order to be able to increase that. Currently, as you guys probably already know, the community college, the tuition and the fee over the last few years has increased. Currently, we are at $146 per credit hour. So in order to make sure that we do not continue to increase the fees and the tuition, we definitely need to focus on enrollment. And some of the ways that we are able to do that is by focusing on that pipeline for high school students, as well as making sure that we're reaching out to the community members who are working on their GED, for example, and being able to continue to offer JJC as an excellent choice for those students once they obtain their GED. Again, making sure that we are being a good partner with a lot of the local district, high school districts, in order to showcase all the wonderful programs that JJC offers. Another thing that I think about when I think about my vision for JJC is to make sure that we are continue to invest in the technology, to make sure that we continue to offer the best services that we're able to. With the different departments that we have, nursing, science, and making sure that high school students and even returning students see JJC as an excellent option to continue their higher education. Thank you.
James?
My vision for JJC is sort of simple. I want to see the halls filled with kids really adding value to their lives. There's a lot of very good two-year programs. There's a lot of associate programs that can lead to very, very good employment as soon as they leave the facility. What I want is to run into these people after they graduate or get into the workforce 2 years later, come up to me and say, hey, you know what I was able to do with my education at JJC? And that starts by putting the programs in place that the students can take advantage of. That takes a little pressure off the budget when you start filling classrooms full of people. The amount of raising tuition isn't going to be an issue because the students will be filling each of the seats in the classrooms. We have a world-renowned chef that's on the staff here. That's going to bring chefs or students who want to get into the culinary arts into the school. You have a great, fantastic Cisco program. If anyone's ever looked at what Cisco certified engineers are drawing right now, I was looking at MetLife's website today. They have 79 jobs posted right now for IT people. They're not looking for 4-year degrees. They're looking for people that have strong discipline in the different technologies they're looking for, whether it's web-based, whether it's Cisco-based, whether it's database administration. But those are programs, some of which are already in place here. I want to see those rooms filled, and I want to get those students to bridge into actual successful employment out of those programs.
Thank you. Ike?
Well, my vision is a little in depth here in regards to definitely to increase the enrollment and recruitment early and often, even before high school. I am a member of the Joliet Chamber of Commerce, and Mary Jaworski's leadership over there has a program set right now where they are reaching kids in the junior high level and the grade school level, getting them in a mindset of higher education early on. To the extent that they may leave there after graduating with $1,000 that can go towards going to college. We have to keep the fees down. Right now, JJC is the third highest due to the capital assessment in regards to the fees. I would like to see the trades being connected directly to the unions, to where, like I said, you become more employable, and that you can tap into the internships and such. So where you can become one of the another thing, I sit on different boards that always can tap into JJC. The African American Business Association, I am on the executive board there. I'm a member of the Joliet Regional Chamber, like I just mentioned, and I'm the vice president of Including You Festival. This is a 501c3 where we are having a downtown festival in the middle of downtown Joliet, and it's family friendly and all inclusive. All these things and these areas where there's vendors and there's different things, they can always be tied into JJC as a community.
Thank you. All right. So what are your opinions on the movement to make colleges tuition free? We'll start with Nancy.
Like I mentioned before, JJC is an excellent option for college students. A lot of times we have to look at the cost of a community college versus a four-year university. So if we're able to provide JJC for free, it would allow our community members to be able to get the necessary tools in order to go into different careers and being able to reach their fullest potential by having access to education, which is essential in order to be able to work in the different jobs, either whatever job they're interested in. It would allow higher options and higher opportunities for movement within the workplace. And having those options is always an excellent choice, and I definitely support moving forward. Hopefully in the future we're able to offer JJC as a free institution. Thank you.
Thank you. James?
Well, if we're going to offer it for free, I'd like to go back and start it about 10 years ago and recoup some of my debt. But when we look at the cost of this institution, this building, obviously the payroll of all the excellent staff, there's a lot of cost that are associated with providing the education for people. If we're going to offer it for free, we have to rely more on state funding, which isn't going to happen in Illinois right now, or we have to rely on increased property taxes. That's a real tough call. There's going to be a cost to education at some point. Balancing it between, different points. Obviously, as parents, I'd like it to be as affordable as possible. As taxpayers, they would like to not see it all, burdening them.
Thank you. Ike?
Yes. I remember, I heard that way back before my days that JJC at one time was free. I think it was tapped into your property taxes or something to that. So I don't know all the details on that, but those are the glory days that are long gone. Would I love to see it? Yes. Now, being fiscally responsible, can it happen? With the climate of what's going on in Springfield, you just don't know if you're going to get that money or not. So you have to be creative in other areas, in other ways. And I would not want to see it put onto property owners, who I think are already overburdened with taxes. Almost 60 to 70% of their property tax bills are for funding not only just JJC, but the other educational institutions throughout the county. So my answer to that is, would I love to see it? Yes. But I would like to see it done responsibly and not to increase the burden on anything else that's already out there.
Thank you. Dan?
I agree with Ike. I think the devil is in the details. If you ask me point blank, do I believe that we should do everything we can to make tuition or make college affordable and free if possible at the community college level? My answer is a solid yes. But the devil's in the details, just like the example I gave of buying that book. You can buy that $100 book and it lasts for 10 years, or you can buy the book and the ebook and it's cost you $200 at the end of 10 years. So the devil's in the details when how that is set up. Do I think it's possible without burdening the taxpayers? There's about 12 to 14 states right now in the United States making that happen. So I look at it as like, if they can do it, why can't we? So, I look at it in that perspective. If it drastically increases taxes for our community, no. But I think that these other states have figured out ways to make it happen without drastically increasing costs to their taxpayers. We have to, at the community college level, have to realize that taxpayer money is not a never-ending pool of money, and neither is student tuition. In other words, we can't just keep going on and on and on and spending more taxpayer money. Well, we'll just increase taxes, or we'll just increase tuition. It can't work like that and still not put up a barrier to our kids to go to college. So we have to, really the devil is in the details, how we work that out. So I would be more than willing to look into that and support that, but at the same time, we have to be fiscally responsible to our community and to our students. Thanks.
Thank you. All right. So some candidates have expressed specific ideas for how to attract potential students. Can you tell us your ideas for growing programs and enrollment at JJC? James, can you start us off?
When we look at the course outlines, even on the website, we show students the different offerings we have. I would like to involve the actual employers to get behind some of our programs. Look at what the employer is looking for in a new recruit as a employee, and try and match some of our programs directly to the workforce versus just telling them that, hey, this is a great career in Cisco that you can make this much money. But let's show them where. Let's show them what their next step is. We don't want to just give them a piece of paper that says, hey, you're certified, and thank you for attending JJC. We want to send them out the door with a list of prospects, places they can go, places they can take this resume and try and get career started or employment with it, and start making some of the money back that they were just spending on tuition.
Thank you. Ike?
Well, I believe that, when I was back at Joliet Catholic, even then, in my sophomore year, I was receiving transferable college credit hours during that year. So the earlier the better. I think that it should be acclimated early on in regards to how to get students wanting to for higher education. I feel that by the like what I mentioned before with the Joliet Chamber of Commerce reaching out to grade school and junior high level of students, I think that is another key of trying to get people involved early on.
Thank you. Dan?
As I mentioned earlier, I'm in strong favor, and that's what I do every day, in trying to build a pipeline for Joliet Junior College, and that's through dual credit classes, not only providing a solid education at the high school level, but then building a number of dual credit classes that help students take care of what we call the gen eds, or many of the classes that go into graduation for an associate's degree. I mentioned earlier the graduation rate for Joliet Junior College. That's not all on the community college. That's on the high schools. That's on us sending qualified students to the community college. But that goes into, like I mentioned earlier, the 098 type classes that we're starting, that Lockport, ourselves, Lincoln Ways, Reed Custer, many of the schools are starting those this year or started it last year. And so a kid can take that remedial class that for free, or $50 next year, but mostly for free before, and pass that class, and therefore they go right into a credit-bearing class. Now you think, okay, well that's great and all the thing, but when you think about it, if that student ends up in the highest remedial class, that class costs about $550 coming out here, about $550, and they get absolutely no credit for it. It's thanks for playing, you got to pass the class in order to get to the next class. But that's wasting time and money. Why is our graduation rate so low? Well, if we're not sending prepared kids to the community college and they get caught in this remedial loop, they can blow through thousands of dollars and many semesters, and they still haven't even got a passing grade in a 3-credit class. So building those bridges is how we are going to increase the enrollment and positively affect that graduation rate. Thank you.
Thank you. Nancy?
So yes, definitely there's a lot of different ways that we can go ahead and continue to work on bringing additional students in. So the Joliet Junior College District 525 is a big district. It covers about 1,442 square miles, and within that district, we have about 19 school districts that we are able to partner with them in order to make sure that we are bringing information about the community college. One example is the Latino Empowerment Conference. It's a conference that has been around for less than 10 years or so, and it's a conference that happens once a year, where it brings additional students to the community college from local high schools, and it's a great way to connect community college, current community college students to high school students that typically would not have the opportunity to be able to get the information about the different resources and different information. For high school students, as well as students who live in other counties that are far from here, like LaSalle, Livingston, so that would be a good option. Also, making sure that JJC has a stronger presence. JJC has done a wonderful job of working in the community college and being able to have a presence here in the community, but we need to go ahead and continue to work on that by being present in community fairs. So that way we have our advisors that are connecting with high school students and returning students, or students who want to look at different options in order to again, bring them into the doors of JJC and having them be part of this wonderful community. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so the next question is, how much is your campaign budget and how are you raising these funds? Is this money coming from interest groups? Let's have Ike start us off.
No interest groups. I raised about $2,000 in my fundraising for this, and I put in a little bit of my own money into my campaign. You may see some of my signs around, but I like the grassroots approach. I don't like being beholden to anyone but other than the people who are electing me to a position.
Thank you. Dan?
I'm the epitome of fiscal conservative. I spent $43 out of my own pocket to buy flyers to hand out at events like this. So $43 is my maximum budget for my campaign event. So I'm using a lot of things on Facebook and stuff like that to get the word out. So if you see something that says vote for Dan McDonnell, I would appreciate you forwarding that on or friending it or sharing it or whatever we do. So that's about it. Thank you.
Thank you. Nancy?
Yes. So my budget for the campaign was about $3,000, and no interest groups. Within the funds that were collected were from donations from people like Isaiah mentioned, grassroots based. So a lot of the money that we actually got donated was from community members who support me and understand the vision that we have and are able to help us by donating in our fundraisers that we had over the last few weeks to continue to have a presence here and sharing our vision. Thank you.
Thank you. James?
I didn't get any, or I didn't even seek any input into financing the campaign, and this was something out of my heart I wanted to do. And out of that, I decided to just, my flyers I paid for out of pocket, the signs I paid for out of pocket. I made one mistake in all of it. When I ordered signs, the person that went to put them up for me found out I didn't order her steaks. Other than that, everything else is, it's all out of pocket. My campaign is based on the people in this room, and I did use, a page on Facebook, and I'll have a disclaimer on that as my daughter put it together for me because I'm not a Facebook expert. So, same thing though, if you'd like to look at it and share it, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so we have a two-part question for Dan, if that's all right. Can you please explain how the 14% graduation rate is calculated/figured? Thank you. And the second part is, are you saying that the low graduation rate, 14%, is due to high schools not preparing students for college?
I readily admit I don't have the exact formula memorized in my head of the graduation rate for a community college. I would have that for the high schools. I would imagine it's similar to what the high schools are, which it takes a student that comes in, let's say, the year 2019, and they have X number of years to graduate with an associate's degree, and if they meet that deadline, it is counted as a graduate. If they don't meet that deadline, it is counted as a non-graduate. That would include all students who transfer out, take a couple classes and leave, maybe just drop out, such as the students that are caught in that remedial situation where they're just taking remedial classes and spending money and wasting time, not wasting time, but burning years of their college experience. So I think it's probably all involved in all of that, the 14%. So there's a lot of factors. And the second question was low graduation rate. I think that also that's not a simple thing to answer. Can high schools do a better job of sending, and that's my job, of sending better qualified students to the community college and to the college? We work on that every day that I'm at work, and lots of weekends where I'm not at work thinking about it. How can we be better? So is it all on the high schools? No, absolutely not. There are barriers, I think, at the community college level that keep kids from being able to enter into classes, such as some prerequisites, some placement scores. What's a better predictor of a student's success? A 2-hour placement test or 4 years of work in high school? So I think something can change to affect that, to decrease the barriers that students hit that prevent them from taking classes and moving on.
That's time.
Thank you.
I just want to say that I can relate to not having the formula memorized. That's me in all my math classes. And if any of the other candidates have any comments they want to make about the question, they may. If not, then moving on. Sure. It's a two-parter. So the first part is can you please explain how the 14% is calculated? But I imagine you probably also don't have the formula memorized, just because that's a very hard topic. Are you saying that the low graduation rate, 14%, is due to high schools not preparing students for college?
I think that one of the factors that could contribute to the 14% is that a lot of the students actually transfer to a 4-year university. So they're not able to go ahead and graduate because they go ahead and transfer out. So that could be a factor.
All right, thank you. Any other comments?
I'd be real careful to use that as a measuring stick for the college. 14% sounds awful low, but we have a lot of certification classes and certificate classes that students can still leave this building with that really do a good job of preparing them for the future, and that isn't included in the 14%. So I just caution, using that as derogatory or a measuring stick, because it really isn't to the success of the student.
All right, thank you.
Can I follow up on that?
Of course.
I would ask that everybody in here, you can Google any of what I'm talking about. That 14% is not necessarily measured any different than any other community college in the state. If you look up under the Illinois Community College Board and you look at graduation rates of community colleges in the state of Illinois, they don't figure it differently for Joliet Junior College and different for Moraine Valley and different for Illinois Valley Community College. That's the same formula across the board, and why are their numbers higher than ours? That's what I'm trying to bring out. So.
All right, thank you. What is your position on transgender use of bathrooms and school locker/rooms that are the opposite of their biological sex? Nancy, can you start us off?
Yeah, I definitely understand the idea that we should be able to respect someone's identity regardless of if they were born regardless of their biology. We should be able to make sure that the college is able to understand that and create bathrooms that are unisex. or bathrooms that are single bathrooms that, regardless of if you're a male or female, if you were born a male or female, you're able to use them the same way as everyone else.
Thank you. James?
The concept of one's identity should not be decided by me. It also should not be a burden on me, nor should I cause a burden on the person. So I'm for providing what they need.
All right. Mike?
Yes, it's simple. It should be based on how a person identifies themselves. I've had a lot of extensive training on how to be sensitive to that situation, and through my career. And so, it's a sensitive situation, and it's one that identifies personally with that person, and I think that should be respected.
Thank you. Dan?
As far as bathrooms go, I'm pretty pragmatic in the fact that if you have bathrooms that have stalls, it doesn't matter who's sitting next to you if there's a stall there. So I feel like people should be afforded the freedom to choose how they live their life and the gender that they choose to be recognized as. So I just look at it pragmatically that having multiple genders in a bathroom, if there are stalls up, then everybody's in a stall. So and if that's a challenge, then more single-stalled, single-use, or however you would say it, single-use bathrooms should be mandated or prescribed, so it's easier for one individual to be in one bathroom at a time. So just pragmatically.
Great, thank you. What kind of involvement do you have with the JJC community? James?
My involvement I go back, I start working with sixth graders early on, developing computer programming skills. I've coached soccer for the last 20 years. The last 7 of it was with high school girls. I know a couple that have come here. So I've always been about getting kids at any age to the next step, whether it's from 6th to 7th grade, whether it's from a senior in high school into college. That's my involvement with the kids of the community.
Great, thank you. Mike?
Well, I attended JJC when it was a rock. No. Way back when I graduated from high school for a short time before I went on down to Lincoln College and on to Oregon State University. But it was a really good preparation for me after the SAT to get my affairs in order in regards to getting my grades to where I needed to be, so where I could go to a university of my choosing, and also played a little sports back in the day too. So.
Thank you. Dan?
When you say your question, the JJC community, are you referring to the communities that matriculate to JJC, or are you talking the JJC community as an organization?
I'd say the communities that matriculate.
Okay. My involvement, I currently live in Morris, and I work in Plainfield for the last 7 years. Like I said earlier, my involvement with JJC has been very direct. From 2005 to 2012, I was an assistant principal at Manuka Community High School in charge of building dual credit classes. And as I said, we went from approximately 9 dual credit classes to 34 in my time there, and to 34 credits, I should say, not 34 classes, 34 credits. And now in the last 7 years, from 2012 to 2019, I'm the high school director of curriculum at Plainfield School District in charge in grades 9 through 12, in which we've built dual credit classes from about 6 of English 101 and 102 to 41 credits next year, including an 098, which doesn't count in that 41, an 098 math class, and working on a QL statistics pathway class in the near future. Students in Plainfield hopefully can get a good jump on college and therefore, like I said, increase that graduation rate. If we can send students to JJC that have a good chunk of courses already completed, and it's a short amount of time, why wouldn't we convince them to stay and graduate with that associate's degree, and therefore taking care of all those undergrads, and they can transfer to that four-year university and have all the undergraduate credits completed. So,
Thank you. Nancy?
Yes. So I work in my community, so part of my involvement is actually being able to help students who are high school students who volunteer in the nonprofit organization, helping them navigate the process. And that is through connecting them through to advisors here at JJC, and as well as just explaining the overall process of how actually to apply. So being that person that they're able to connect to in the community, and understanding the different options that they have, as well as the first steps in order to apply to JJC.
Thank you. All right, so we're going to have our last question before the outros and statements. Yeah.
Just quickly. One thing that I didn't mention before is that I'm always continuing my education one way or another, and I just recently graduated a couple of weeks ago from the Chamber of Commerce's Community Leadership School. And it was an excellent opportunity, and I met leaders of the community throughout the universities and the student and government, and we actually even went down to Springfield. But we had a representative from the president of Joliet Junior College, on a panel board that gave us all the information that we needed to know about how things ran and how the institutions interact with the communities.
Thank you. All right, so as I was saying, we're going to wrap it up with the last question before the outro statements. How do you plan to grow relations with the four-year universities to increase the available transfer programs / transferable credits? Mike, can you start us off?
That would be based on an outreach program like no one has ever seen before. In regards to just getting out there, there is a liaison situation, a liaison community within all these universities that are surrounding in this area and across the country. I think that there needs to be a more direct outreach to that, to make sure that students have that opportunity based on their great education that they started here to move on to higher education.
Thank you. Dan?
Well, as some of you may or may not know, currently there is an agreement between Joliet Junior College and all community colleges in the state of Illinois and four-year universities. It's called the Illinois Articulation Initiative, so IAI. So courses that meet the core requirements of general education courses, such as an English 101 and 102, have an IAI code, okay? So that's an agreement between the community colleges across the state of Illinois and the four-year universities that basically say if you take this class at JJC, it's going to count as this exact class at Illinois State University. I did the similar thing. I earned about 70 credits at Sauk Valley Community College, and I transferred into Illinois State after 2 years of getting my associate's degree. And really the conversation went like this. When I sat down with my counselor at Illinois State, they were like, oh, you have your associate's degree. And they crossed out all the gen ed requirements underneath. And that's a message I think we need to get out to our students that here at Joliet Junior College, that you can save a lot of time by, delaying transferring out, after 1 year or one semester. If you can stay here at Joliet Junior College and take the courses that are going to meet your associate's degree, that big X goes under all those classes, and you don't transfer to Illinois State, which is a university of about 23,000 students. You don't sit in those large lecture halls. You don't go into a class of 300 or 400 kids. You go into a class that is similar to the size of classes here, about 30. About my largest class when I went to Illinois State was about 30 to 35 kids. That's the part of the advantage of staying here, graduating with an associate's degree, and then transferring in. Yes, does it delay your opportunity to be free of your parents or not live at home or anything like that? You can handle it for just another year, you know? That requirement to be home before
Time.
2 a.m. Thanks. Sorry.
Nancy?
Yes. So definitely one of the things is definitely communication. We want to make sure that we are able to communicate with the different public and four-year universities and able to make sure that we are addressing the needs of the students. I have connections to different advisors and different community members around the local community colleges around the area, as well as four-year universities. And I think that's a great way to start communicating and developing that relationship to make sure that, like Dan mentioned, that the students know that a lot of their classes that they're taking here at JJC are able to transfer and meet the needs of their bachelor's degree or whatever degree they're trying to pursue. So definitely making sure that we have that connection, that we are working and collaborating, so that way students understand that if JJC is an excellent choice for them to start their career, and if they want to go on with a different career and get a bachelor's, they do have options as well. Thank you.
Thank you. James?
One of the things I've noticed is JJC is already doing this to an extent. I was here in December, I believe it was December 18th, I'm not sure exactly on the date, but when I went over into the JK&L building, I walked through the second level and I looked down in the lobby or the area, a common area below, set up a table after table of all the different universities that JJC works with. So I know at some point JJC does have an outreach with these universities. The universities do have a presence in this college. Just going down the hall here, you'll see on the left side and right side, you'll see different information and literature available to the different career paths or college choices these students have. And it is the students that make up this university. So the advisors, and I have not had any one-on-one with any of the advisors to know how prepared they are to offer the liaison service between JJC Junior College and the different universities. But some of it already takes place, and it can only get stronger.
Thank you. All right, so I have a statement from Michael Cano, and then Trustee Maureen Broderick will be reading a statement from Jake Mahalik. Pam, sorry, but I will not be able to make the candidates forum on March 28th. Being the high school's spring break, 3 of my 4 children are teachers. We will be on our annual vacation in Florida. In the future, you may want to consider doing this before the early voting starts. Below are some of my accomplishments that I hope you relate to the students in attendance. Started an energy cost savings committee in 2009 that ran for 3 years. In the process, over $2 million in savings brought forward. These savings are still being realized each and every year. Our energy savings programs recently resulted in over $750,000 in rebates from ComEd and NECOR. Currently, I am pushing to have each and every vocation program evaluated for their success rates and job placement. All graduates of these programs should be surveyed 1 year after leaving JJC to see the success rate of all our vocational programs. We are doing students a disservice if we promote a program that has very little success in job placement. JJC needs to survey the area job market to see potential new vocational areas that we may need to start up a program. I was a big proponent in the payback in tuition to students once student funding occurred. JJC is in a much better place now than when I joined the board in 2009. The atmosphere around the campus seems to be very positive with the students, teachers, and staff in general. I hope you can get this information to the students. Michael Cano, the trustee, come up.
All right, I think you can hear me. Now, I am John Jake Mahalik. So as I'm talking for him, so not me. My name is John Jake Mahalik, number 1 on the ballot. I currently serve on the JJC Board of Trustees. I just want to mention some things that I have done over my term. 1, during my term, the Board of Trustees has worked with our staff to review and eliminate unnecessary spending, saving the college well over $2 million per year. This helps our students receive a great education and affordable budget, or at affordable price, and our budget has been balanced for over 46 years. 2, the community college in Illinois ranges from $174 to $121 per credit hour. JJC is right in the middle at $146 per credit hour, which is very good considering a large portion of the community college are in Southern Illinois, where cost of living is substantially lower. Prior to my term, the board faced a state budget crisis. JJC did not receive state funding for over 2 years. The board worked with the student government and the students on a fair tuition increase to help cover the state funding deficit. Receiving our students' input is very important to us on the board, and they agreed and they needed the tuition change due to the lack of state funding. When we finally received state funding, the board and I unanimously voted to return $2.2 million back to the students. We did this by sending them debit cards. This was unheard of, and once again, JJC District 525 was the leader and the first and only community college that did this reimbursement to the students. 3, we have kept the JJC District 525 portion of your property tax low. If you check your last property tax bill, you will see that the JJC District 525 portion is less than 4% of your whole tax bill. If you look as an example, as an example on a $400,000 home, the tax bill is under $300, which represents K through 12 represents 73% of your tax bill, not JJC. In fact, our portion property taxes decreased from the previous property tax bill. While in office, property tax owners can take it to the bank that I will look out for your best interest. 4, we did add a high school dual credit fee of $50 for each college course that is taken for credit at the high school level. This dual credit fee is credited back to each student once they come to continue their education at JJC. $50 for a normal $438 class is a pretty good deal in my eyes. Also, the dual credit fee is waived for free and reduced lunch program children. This will allow students to enroll in JJC with the credit that at their dual credit fee after they graduate here at JJC from high school. This is another option that we as trustees saw to increase enrollment. Enrollment is an issue to all 2- and 4-year colleges across the 50 states. We at JJC are working with our Illinois community colleges to further joint marketing throughout the state to increase enrollment. Thank you for coming to our debate. Let's continue to make JJC the first and best choice for our students and community. My name is John Jake Mahalik. I'm number 1 on your ballot, and I'd really appreciate your vote.
Thank you. So now we will be doing the closing statements. I'll ask Nancy to start.
Okay. As you guys already heard me say before, I started my career at Joliet Junior College, and it was an excellent start to my career. After I graduated from JJC, I was able to transfer to a four-year university at Aurora University, where I was able to obtain my bachelor's in arts, majoring in psychology. So I know the importance of starting and having the necessary tools to start your career. I also want to thank all of you guys here today for coming out, and especially all the students that are here today, because I see that you guys are interested in your future, that you guys are interested in the future of your community college, and that directly impacts you here today. So I was in your shoes a few years ago, and I would have loved during my time at JJC to have someone that was able to represent me, someone like me, on the board. Something that makes me different from the other candidates is that I am a woman. If you guys, if they didn't know already, we definitely need more women on the board, right? Yes. And again, I would definitely love to be part of the board. If elected, I'm definitely willing to listen to everyone's concerns and being able to address them to the best of my ability by working with my board members. Again, my name is Nancy Garcia, and I'm asking you for your vote on Election Day. And a reminder, also, early voting is still taking place. You are able to go vote today, tomorrow, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. or an election day. So definitely take advantage of that. And again, thank you so much for coming out and being part of your community college, because all of this directly affects you. And again, thank you for being here. And I look forward to your support. Thanks.
Thank you for coming. James?
So back in 1979, which is predating a lot of the students at JJC, hopefully most of them, I was in a vocational electronics class at a high school. It was sort of dual credit in that it was taught by a teacher from Prairie State College. Xerox had come to the school looking for students that could pass certain exams to get into Xerox. And what happened is they were coming out with new technology that was going to be released into the field that didn't exist. It wasn't being taught in schools. There were no textbooks on it. Therefore, no one had any knowledge of it. So I passed the test, and I was sent away to Leesburg, Virginia, to a Xerox school to start my college classes. Fortunately for me, because I was an employee, I got paid to go to school, which is very unheard of now. But during that same time, Xerox did not really put any emphasis on general studies. They didn't care if I had English 101. That they only cared that as when they started producing equipment with lasers, I'd be able to take care of them and service them. So I continued my education by going to Prairie State College in Chicago Heights. And over the years, I don't think I went more than 2 years without taking a class somewhere. So I know the value of education. I know what can take you. My software background was all self-taught in going through, I took some University of Phoenix class, a College of California Institute of Technology class, and Xerox moved me into software in 2013. That's why I've been giving back to the students, because I've been blessed by some really good teachers. I have one high school teacher that I credit for a lot of my successes because he rode me real hard. I went home from school every day saying, I can't stand him. 40 years later, I'm grateful as can be for him. So that's my background in education.
Thank you.
Well, I received my Bachelor of Science degree from Oregon State University in political science. I also went on to University of San Diego, where I became certified as a paralegal, and I currently own my own business, and the name of it is Williams Paralegal Service, right here in Joliet, Illinois. When I mentioned that the Job Corps Center that I was part of the senior staff of was #1 in the country out of 144 centers, 5 years out of the 7 years that I was there, all that being ranked #1 was based on outcomes. And outcomes meaning how many students actually graduated from the program. We had an extensive program to where we tracked the student for up to a year after they left the program to make sure that how things were going with employment. And we had a great internship program. And then also, if something was going wrong, how we could assist in keeping you employed. I look forward to working on this board and with this community and with you students here. And my name is Isaiah Ike Williams, Jr., and I would love to have your vote.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for giving us this opportunity to come and talk in front of you. I've told you a little bit about myself and how I grew up, how I was in your shoes a long time ago. I won't say how long, but about 1988 to 1990, I guess, is thinking back, is when I went to community college. In going to community college, like I said, there wasn't a lot of money in the house. I worked 3 jobs over each summer. That was in working for the township that I grew up in, 40 hours a week, 30 to 35 hours a week, working at a pizza place, a local pizza place, as a pizza cook. And then I umpired baseball games too during the week whenever I wasn't working. I took that work ethic and went on to Illinois State University, majored in English education to be a teacher with a minor in physical education. I also walked on to the Illinois State wrestling team and wrestled there for 3 years. I think I bring a pretty strong work ethic to this position, a voice of the high school students and their families, We mentioned a $50 charge going to be added to dual credit next year. I fought vigorously with the current board. That was originally proposed as $172.50 when we first started. So in those discussions with the board, it came down from $172.50 to $50, which in the grand scheme of things, it is reasonable for a $450 class. However, for some students, it does still cause a barrier. So I will work tirelessly to take down barriers that the college or the high schools have created on behalf of our students and behalf of our families to make it more possible for all of you to get the degree you want and to transfer on. Thank you.
All right, I want to give a big thank you to our candidates for coming down, and a huge round of applause, please. Thank you. That will be concluding.